I am here. I'm just having a look to see if I've got the settings all right, because usually we come on Jenna's Instagram page and she does all the great tech work. So I am going to start diving straight into today's topic, our conscious caregiver conversation for this morning. Jenna's actually held up with an appointment, so if she hops on, I hope that I will be able to see where that happens and add her correctly. So this might be a fairly brief conversation because I regard time as a very precious resource. And if it's not a conversation between Jenna and I, then I just want to share something that's come through really quite significantly this week for me. And hopefully it will help you in your workplace, in your journey, in your professional capacity. So I wanted to hop on to share one of the really almost subtle in a way, but very powerful effects of embodying what we are teaching here about becoming a conscious caregiver. And so, as a quick recap, being a conscious caregiver is really taking that time to slow down, be intentional about our responses in the workplace, knowing that our triggers and activations are learning points for us, knowing that this is a journey and any sort of life coaching, self improvement work is a journey. Perfection doesn't live in our scope or in our sphere. It's really just trying to do the best we can at any given point with the time, energy, resources that we have available. You'll even hear my kids in the background. So we certainly come in not having everything perfect and everything all set up, just magically, because that's not life and that's definitely not how our healthcare systems run either. So they're just some of the, I guess, the values that we teach with conscious caregiving. We really value empathy and also empathy for ourselves and coming back to our own center and knowing to understand what's going on with our responses, with our triggers, with, everything that's going on in our external, really bringing it back to self and taking that radical self-responsibility. Not self-blame, but taking radical self-responsibility for what we can control, and the only thing we can control is actually just us. So I wanted to hop on and share a really beautiful effect that I truly believe happens when we really start to embody a lot of the conscious caregiver values, because it's happened in my journey and I know it's happened in Jenna's as well. And that is the depth of professional relationship that can happen. And I'm sorry, my daughter is crying in the background, but my husband is out there. So if you hear that, again, perfection doesn't live here. Loads of grace giving to myself and to any of you, if you're parents, before heading to work or coming home from work. I definitely understand. So it's really when we start to embody a lot of the values and practices, like I said, from within, so without. So we start reflecting a lot of what we embody into our external environment. Now, that doesn't mean that we change other people, that we're here to, ask other people to be like us or anything like that. That's why it happens extremely subtly. And it's only until like this week when I have been extremely fatigued. I think my glandular fever has relapsed a little bit and really struggled and been quite emotional at work, but still needed to go to work for a number of different reasons. I also advocate to take personal leave, sick leave, whatever you might call it in your department. But I understand that's not always possible for leave reasons, financial reasons, staffing reasons, whatever it might be. So I've had to go to work this week, and just the level of compassion that I have received from my fellow colleagues, understanding and a lot of even grace given to myself has been so beautiful. And I truly believe that a big reason that is afforded to me and given to me this week is because that's what I practice so much of when I go to work. I'm only human, and we're only human. We have good days and bad days as well, but that's what I try to bring forth all the time, and I truly believe that it's reflected back. And so I know that often, and we will keep speaking about sometimes when there's difficult conversations, when there's um, especially in emergency contexts, there can be very straightforward, very abrupt conversations and stressful conversations. There can also be, like, I work in the operating theatre, so it's known to be a bit of a stressful, but a bit of a cutthroat kind of environment. And so sometimes the way our colleagues speak to us is not appropriate and is not needed. There's not an emergency situation. There's not, anything untoward. It's just kind of the culture of the department or the workplace that you might be in. And so I don't want to sideswipe any of that, understanding how we can deal with very difficult conversations and how we can move through them and really put our boundaries in place, healthy boundaries. That is all very important. But what I wanted to do today is to actually highlight one of the ways that I have really grown uh, very loyal, very compassionate, very understanding professional relationships with my senior management team, as well as my colleagues, as well as like different professionals. So the surgeons that I work with, anaesthetists, what we call patient care assistants, like a whole range of different colleagues that I work with, and how I've been able to build those really strong professional relationships is honestly this journey of taking my own responsibility for how I respond to things, how I act in certain situations, how I come forth, what I decide to let go of as such that's maybe not within my control in a systemic capacity or in a departmental capacity, and move with relative grace and ease. And also then I'm pouring from a cup that is overflowing in regards to compassion and grace and kindness, and really believing that everyone is going through their own journey, and almost everyone, if not everyone, is really going through something in their personal life at any state, at any point. And that doesn't excuse, you know, quote unquote bad behavior or anything like that, but it just allows that empathy, it allows that kindness, and allows that understanding. And this week, when I've needed really that compassion back towards me, it has been afforded in a very busy department, in a department that has its own stresses and has its own limitations, and I've tried to just show so much gratitude. So part of this live is that real gratitude element, and being super grateful for the compassion I've received. And then what that does is it amplifies the higher frequencies. It amplifies the supportive frequencies that I feel. It amplifies that. I could come home and forget about work and just, not talk about it, and that's done. But I've actually sent some messages to my colleagues saying thank you. I've personally said thank you. Like, I have been shown so much gratitude because this is what I believe healthcare should be like more times than not, is that very compassionate colleague professional relationships, that you don't have to like everyone, you don't have to be friends with everyone, you certainly don't have to socially see everyone outside of work or anything like that. But it's really taking that time to commit to this journey in conscious caregiving, commit to yourself, commit to your professional practice. And this is like building beautiful, strong, compassionate professional relationships is kind of like a side effect. It's not even an outcome. It's like a beautiful garden of flowers, that happen on the side because you're outside working the garden. If I can give that analogy, and I love flowers and I live on a farm, so that's very commonplace to me. So that's what I wanted to share today. I have seen Jenna send a message through, but I can't see her on trying to come on here. So I might actually, sorry, I'm just checking my screen. Can't see anyone who is wanting to join. So I might, no request to join just yet. So I'm actually going to leave it there because I tend to do lives that are really, really, really short. It's only when I'm in conversation with my beautiful colleagues that it tends to be a little bit longer as we converse and different ideas and that come up. So I'm going to summarize, and if Jenna hops on in the next 5 minutes, then that's fantastic. If not, I will share on my page and then try and link it to Jenna's page and be able to share it over on our YouTube channel as well. So as a reminder, we are always, our DMs are open. If there's any particular situations that you're dealing with at work or stresses or things that you think, well, how would, as a conscious caregiver, like how would I actually approach this? How would I respond to this? This is what we're here for. And we try and bring in real examples from Jenna and my experiences. We've got over, I think, 25 years experience in healthcare, both of us combined. And so it's very powerful when we sit down together and are able to really show you in real time, in real life, what this conscious caregiving is about, because it's not sunshine and rainbows all the time, and in fact in healthcare it's highly unlikely to be that all the time, because that's just the nature of the work that we have. So that's why these elements and these values that as a conscious caregiver we really promote are so powerful, because they bring power back to us, back to our center in what we can control, and they actually have really potent effects out into our department, into our workplace, into our hospitals, and then into our health system, which is deeply impactful. So to summarize what I've spoken about today, I've really shared like a side effect of embodying a lot of the conscious caregiver values and practices. And being a conscious caregiver is about slowing down, becoming intentional, becoming responsible for our own reactions and our own emotions that come up, and seeking support and really taking on that self-responsibility, not self-blame, but taking on that self-responsibility of what can we do in certain situations, and how can we acknowledge our own experiences, our own triggers, our own past, even our own traumas that might come up in certain situations with colleagues, with patients, with our very stressful systems that we work in healthcare. So, and that's just a little summary of what your conscious caregiving really is all about. And by doing all of that, I've really cultivated me personally, and like I said, I know Jenna has as well. We've really cultivated very strong, compassionate professional relationships, and that's not just with senior management, but it's also with like I work with surgeons and anaesthetists and patient care assistants and a whole range of different colleagues that might not just be in the nursing profession. And this week I've just received so much compassion and support, because I've been incredibly fatigued and not been able to take time off work for a number of different reasons. So it's beautiful, and it's a big shout out and a big gratitude, heartfelt post to all my colleagues, who I will tag a number of them in this video as well, because that's what I believe we are in a caring profession. And before we can actually care for our patients, first and foremost, we need to actually care for each other. And even before that, we need to take responsibility and care for ourselves. And I know that that's something I was never taught in university, in nursing. I was actually never really taught in life until I decided to step forward and follow a journey of taking different coaches and life coaching and soul embodiment and all these different things, and really to keep working on myself. Not because I'm not fine the way I am, but it's just to continually grow and to continually really uncover the depths of myself, so I can let things go when I need to, so I can put healthy boundaries in place, so I can prioritize myself and my well-being when we're in a society, and definitely in a healthcare system, that doesn't always put that as a priority and put that first. So a big gratitude post. As of yet, I still can't see Jenna on, so I'm going to leave it there, and we'll be back next week. And I think we're going to be running through most of the holiday season. In America, that's obviously, in the US, it's different to Australia. We have a big 6-week summer holiday because it's between school years. So I'm still happy to hop on and I will chat with Jenna, but I'm 99% sure we're still hopping on next week, which is Thursday 7 a.m. Australian Western Standard Time, and it's Wednesday evening 6 p.m. Central Standard Time over in the US. So sending big loves to you all. Have a great sleep if you're tuning in from the US, and I will be on with Jenna next week. Take care and send through any DMs, any questions you might have. Both Jenna and my inboxes are open and we get to them as often as we can. Take care.